This is the Executive Profile, exclusively on CBT News.
The Executive Profile, sponsored by Cox Automotive. Hi everyone, I'm Jim Fitzpatrick. On this edition of the Executive Profile, we visit with Mario Murgado, President and CEO of Murgado Automotive Group, at his brand new state-of-the-art dealership in Miami, Florida. Like many Cuban immigrants seeking political refuge in the 1960s, Mario came to the United States alone just 5 days before his 4th birthday. Growing up with his family in Chicago, Mario moved to Miami in the early 80s, where he landed a job selling new Hondas at Braman Honda. Over the next 12 years, he became president and managing partner at Braman Imports, as well as Palm Beach Imports. In 2001, he purchased ailing Honda and Pontiac GMC dealerships in downtown Miami and turned them into top national performers. And the rest, they say, is history. 10 years ago, I met Mario when he had 4 Miami-based franchise dealerships. Today, Murgado Automotive Group includes 24 dealerships across 3 states. But his impact goes beyond numbers. With his unwavering commitment to the automotive industry, Mario has not only built a successful business empire, but also created a positive and engaging environment for his team. In addition to building a stellar dealership culture, Mario believes strongly in giving back to the community and has led numerous charitable initiatives, making meaningful impacts on the communities he serves. Check out my interview with Mario Murgado. Mario, thank you so much for allowing us to visit your incredible Cadillac dealership and museum here at Ocean Cadillac. It is just fascinating.
Thank you, Jim. Welcome, and it's an honor to have you here, and thank you for honoring us with your visit.
Sure. So there's so much to get into with you today, but let me start out by saying, I know probably a lot of dealers just said, did he say museum? I thought we were selling cars here, not showing them. Tell us the spirit behind starting the museum.
First is my love for cars, my passion for cars, my passion for this business, and my passion for Cadillac. And I couldn't think of anything better than to bring back the great history and the heritage of Cadillac, along with Americana and other vehicles that I have in that museum. So when I built it, I wanted to add that space there. And it's a space that we've utilized in many different factors and in many different ways. So customers just come here just to see the museum.
Do they?
Customers buy the vehicles and sometimes bring their kids to come take a look at the museum.
That's fantastic.
Customers buy a vehicle and bring other family members or neighborhoods to look at it. So it's really a great place for us to, I think you let your hair down, you get to enjoy, you get to relax. And you know, if you're 60 years old, you look back and you remember this. If you're 40 years old, you look back and you remember this. And you have everything there. You have from pre-World War II to after World War II, and really the escalation of the success of Cadillac. So you see that history there. You'll see the escalation of the muscle cars that are there, and you'll find representation from Ford, you'll find Chevrolet, you'll find Dodge, and you'll find Cadillac, obviously, and Corvettes.
That is fantastic. You told me during the tour before we got recording today that it was a point in time that GM owned 50% of the market share out there.
Yeah, very, very much. You know, when you take a look and you look at historical, and you said we came out of 1945, the war, and truly it was the first time that we had women in the marketplace, so they saved money. We had men coming there, GIs, that they didn't have money, couldn't spend money, so they had money. And really it was an evolution of economic might and power that America had to rebuild and help rebuild the world. So then the 50s were roaring 50s, and in those roaring 50s, General Motors captured over 50% market share. So think about 1 out of every 2 cars.
That's crazy.
Was a General Motors car. Whether it be either a Pontiac or an Oldsmobile, a Cadillac or a Chevrolet or a Buick.
That's fantastic.
It was incredible.
Yeah. Were you one of those dealers that, those individuals got into the car business because of your love for the cars?
Oh,
I mean, were you like a car nut?
Absolutely. When I was a kid, I would be in the car and I would say to my father, that car has 4 cannons. If cannons would be the exhaust, and I would say, those 4 cannons, that's a Mustang Mach 1.
Right.
You know, and the first Mustang, that's a Pony Mustang that's in there. That's a Chevrolet 57 Bel Air.
Well, some kids are following baseball teams. You're following Cadillac's new model.
So I did. So I loved all the cars. I could tell them. And then later on, the small distinctions in those days, there was round headlamps, and later on square headlamps, 1 headlamp, 2 headlamps, where they turn the turn signal, all those things.
Sure. You are one of those individuals that I have followed over the last 10 years since we've been friends and met, and your expansion and your success has been so exciting. But I want to take the viewer back a little bit and talk a little bit about Mario Murgado coming to this country. You were, I think, just under 4 years old. When
I turned 4 or 5 days after I got here in this country. I've been blessed to live in the greatest country in the world.
Right.
I've been blessed that I had parents who had a belief and a faith in this country that were willing to give me up and put me here to have that opportunity. I had great faith, and I've had people who took care of me. I had 2 wonderful foster parents who took care of me at the very beginning, early on.
Wow.
Then my mom arrived later on after that, and then my father within a year and a half. And then we got to move to Chicago and made our life there. And I always tell people, I said, you don't know America until you know the Midwest. The most wholesome part of our country. So special. Still Midwest nice, no matter what you hear out.
So you're growing up in the Midwest, and you decide after college, I suppose, I'm going to go into a dealership and apply for a sales job. Walk me through that.
Sure.
Where was that, and what dealership?
In 1981, I looked for who do I thought was the very best that's out there. And I was kind of very much mesmerized by Braman. Norman Braman was building an incredible organization. Absolutely. And I had the opportunity to start working with him in 1981. And as I worked in 1981, I started in sales. I selected Honda. They said, where do you want? The person who interviewed me still today is a friend, Linda Brickman, who was her head of HR. And where do you want to work? I said, well, I love Cadillacs, but I like this company, Honda. It's a new company. It's really post-war.
1981.
So I said, let me go work there. And you remember those cars?
Oh my God, they're like little shoe boxes. The Civics. So much fun to drive.
Selling every one of them.
Oh, of course.
Pre-sold.
Right off a list, right? Right off of the list of here are the inventory. One's it's kind of like Ford. You can have any color you want as long as it's the next one on the list, right? And they were zapped up. Did you have any idea at the time? I guess you did, that Honda would be the brand that it grew into.
I felt that Honda was an exceptional company early on. When you take a look at the history of Mr. Honda, when you take a look at the 3 Joys and how he believed in that, I thought it was a special company. It was a company really coming out of Japan that was post-war. It was not involved in before the war building cars. It was not part of that machinery. And I thought how they were so sensitive to what the consumers are, so sensitive to what the consumer wanted. And I always thought that their engineering, their marvel of simplicity was very special. Matter of fact, their tagline that Jack Lemmon would do is, "We make it simple."
That's right. I remember that.
That was their tagline throughout. And the reality, all throughout my career there, they did incredible cars. There wasn't one miss I always saw, and everything that I have has come through Honda. I'm always grateful for Honda, so that's where I did my beginning, and today we get to have 4 stores and represent them.
That's fantastic.
In Chicago and in Florida, and we're very grateful.
So there's some dealers out there that may be Honda dealers or may not be Honda dealers, but they follow the industry obviously, and they say Honda seems to have lost its way a little bit among some of the other brands out there. What do you say to them?
Don't make that mistake. Honda hasn't lost its way.
Right.
Here's the way I look at it. I think we go through our life and through our experiences, we see things that sometimes we like, some things we don't like as much, and at those times we kind of give up on certain things. But Honda is the largest engine manufacturer in the world.
Wow,
so
did not know that.
When you think about that, as the largest engine manufacturer, Honda is an engineering marvel and an engineering company. And I think they've always had a humble way of coming into the marketplace. And if you remember early on, when it came to SUVs, their first entry into SUVs was a partnership with Isuzu.
That's right.
On the Passport. When you think about the minivan, the Odyssey, it's one of the best selling vans in the world. And early on, Dodge and Chrysler had them for many, many years. And everyone said, well, this is something that's not going to be as successful. Well, Honda waited really long, but look how well they did with the Odyssey.
That's right.
And then most recently, the CR-V, I remember that being introduced 1992, saw it in the Tokyo show, and today it's one of the highest selling SUVs in the marketplace. Now another car, HR-V, underneath of it, doing it equally as well. So it's I think it's a company that's always been thoughtful, a leader, but never really at the forefront, always listening to what the consumers and consumer driven.
Okay. So let's go back a little bit. Here you are, you walk into the dealership in 1981, and you go up through the ranks, right? Salesperson, maybe sales manager, F&I manager, all of those different positions to make what makes a good general manager and eventually a dealer. At what point in time, because you had a stellar career with Braman, do you say, I think I want my own gig, and what does that look like?
I think All throughout, number one, I'm grateful.
Yeah.
I owe great gratitude to Mr. Braman and the Braman organization, because I had a chance to grow up there.
Sure.
I had a chance to go work the multiple seats that I worked there. I got the chance to run a store, be a general manager store, later on to become the chief operating officer of a company.
Wow.
And later on from that, to have a chance to be a managing partner and president, CEO of the company. Throughout all those phases, they're all learning opportunities.
Yeah.
And he's an American icon.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And someone who's built an incredible organization. So I was always privileged to do that. But you have those dreams, you have those aspirations as
Sure.
you grow, and when you have that aspirations, you try to follow that dream. And
Sure.
when I decided to make that happen, really at the turn of 2020, 2000, in 2001, I bought my first store. I bought a store that was directly east of our Braman Honda store, a store that was selling 2% of what Braman had sold at that time. It was selling 16 Hondas a month.
Oh boy.
It was selling six Pontiacs and GMCs.
Oh boy.
You would think it was a dead store, and today I'm blessed to have a group and dealership there that sells 9,000 vehicles a year.
Oh my
to
gosh.
10,000 vehicles a year.
Wow.
That we do on Brickell.
That is fantastic. That's fantastic. So you've got the dealership, you're up and running, and now all of a sudden you have the opportunity to acquire even more stores, right? To start to grow these, what do you have, 22 now in the lineup?
24.
24, sorry, 24, forgive me folks.
No,
24 stores in really a relatively short period of time. I mean, you're talking about the acquisition of an average of one store a year. That's pretty aggressive.
It may appear like that. I
Yeah.
will tell you that it's always been from the very beginning. So I'll give you a quick example. So in 2001, I started writing to Audi. I started writing to Infiniti.
Did you really?
Yes,
2001?
2001.
Wow.
Right when we opened up, and we were.
And you already are thinking more stores.
We were thinking there. We were thinking about where is it that I thought. I always try to take a look and say, let me do our own urban science study. Let me take a look
Yeah.
at where I think they deserve to have a store.
Sure.
Let me take a look at where I think they deserve to be. And it takes time. This business, things don't happen today.
Right.
Things take time to do.
Right.
And in that process of time, work tenaciously at it.
Yeah.
Be focused on it. I think a lot of people have a dream or have an aspiration or have a desire or something, but they give up too soon.
Yeah.
And I think persistence removes resistance.
Yeah.
And I think if you're focused on what you want and you're tenacious about it, you can go after it. And don't let no one take away your dreams.
That's right.
And more importantly, dream when you're awake.
Dream when you're awake. I love that term, dream when you're awake. It's so true though, right?
Absolutely.
You got to know what you want.
You want to remember so you can be focused on it. But we started working early on like that, and our first foray was in 2007 when Buick came to us and said, "Listen, we'll give you Buick," and we had Buick. That was important for us, and we were awarded in 2011 the Audi franchise and the Infiniti franchise, and there was our first clean white piece of paper. We were able to build a store from the ground up in Stuart, and we did that. From there, I chased Ocean Cadillac. I chased Ocean Cadillac from 2002. I would visit the company owner almost every month just to say hello.
You knew you just wanted that store.
Yes, I thought it was a store.
You're a Cadillac man. It's in your market. That's you.
Yeah. So and it took 12 years, but it happened.
Like you said, it takes time, right? These things take time.
It takes time, and then when we bought it, we knew we had to go move it. In that process, we wanted to stay close to Bay Harbor. We were going to build a dream store on the water, matter of fact.
Sure.
It had a very unique proposition we were doing there. Couldn't get the approval there in the community. Moved it here to I-95, where today you have 240,000 people driving by every day, seeing
Can't miss
you.
it.
So it's a talking billboard. It's a walking live billboard for the community and for Cadillac.
Right. It is an amazing store. We're showing pictures of it right now. It is just something to see. If you're in this area, whether you're a Cadillac dealer or not a Cadillac dealer, if you're just in the industry, this is something to behold, because I will tell you that you make us in the industry look very good by wanting to put out a facility like this. You know, many dealers, as you know, look at a facility and go, oh, I got to build what for the factory? What do they want me to do? Okay, let's not get crazy here. But you really went over the top in this dealership and museum, and it pays off, right?
I believe so. I also think it's a mindset you have to create. We want to be the best partners for the manufacturers.
Sure.
And I literally say that to them. I want to be your best partner. I want to be a partner that you are proud to have. I want to be a partner that you feel good about. I want to be a partner that's going to produce and generate and support you and assist you. And that's what we try to do with all our brands. We just made a major acquisition that we worked on hard, and it's something also very proud in Chicago. And we're starting there to go and refurbish and do some things that they want.
Pretty cool. Now, was the draw for you for Chicago because that's where you had roots there, and you said, I'm going to acquire a store, why not in Chicago?
Do you know what, the draw for me in Chicago is very simplistic. That's where I grew up, and being there, it is my roots, but I've always felt akin to it, and I always felt that it's, sometimes it's a place that doesn't get the right rap, and I think it's a very special place. You don't know America until you know the Midwest. I say that to people all the time. I had the opportunity there to buy in 2017 a Honda and Volkswagen store from the Fletcher Jones organization.
Great group.
Then later on, I had an opportunity to get Honda in Libertyville, another great town in Chicago, a suburb, and the Acura store. And then most recently our Motorworks organization, which also has an emotional tie to me. In 1975, my father took me to see a Cadillac for the first time at a car dealership. So I went there with him. I met Paul, the owner at that time. I was doing the translation for my father.
This is crazy.
And he said to me, he goes, when you finish school, you can come and work for me. Stayed close to him always, and had the opportunity to later on meet his son-in-law Mick, who did a phenomenal job building that company, building the organization.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Evolving that organization to what it is today. Very, they both should be very proud of what they've accomplished and done. And then I had the chance over the last year and a half working with them to finally come to close and buy that acquisition, which added for us 10 stores now in Chicago. So in the Chicago market, we have 10 deep, and it's an important part of our organization.
Wow, I know your dad has passed, but he would really have loved that story, right? Oh my gosh, that's something.
Thank you.
So these big, beautiful showrooms that you've got, and every one is one is nicer than the next. As soon as I say, wow, you've really done it on this one, I see your next one and go, wait a minute, you really did it with this one. They're all beautiful. For the people that are asking the question, is a big, beautiful showroom as relevant to the consumer today as it was maybe 10 years ago? Because we hear so much about digital retailing and people just want to go online and pick up their car or get it delivered to them or what have you. Is there still a strong tie to that?
So let me explain it, I think, in a better way there. So I really want to have where someone can come, first of all, enjoy doing business with us, enjoy feeling safe with us, enjoy a place that's clean, and enjoy a place that has a culture that's a family. So that's important elements for me. The next part that's there is I want them to feel comfortable here, and I think this offers the comfort of being able to explore. We are going to do digital business. We are doing digital business today. Is it what people expect that you're going to do 50% of your business? No, I don't think so. I don't think that buying a car is the same as getting on Amazon and making an order. Will you have a percentage that we'll do? Of course, and we'll cater to that. And we'll pick up and do deliveries also for those. And we'll have all that. But I'm dealing still today with 5 generations. And people forget that. We still have some people from the great generation. We have people from the early baby boomers. We have people from the late baby boomers. We have the X, we have the Y, we have the millennial, and we have the Z now. Each one of them will have their own way of doing business. Each one of them will require different things. That's why it's so important that more equally I mirror what my customers are with my associates. So my associates then mirror our market. And same thing with languages. We have within our company today, we have about 30% all women. And I'm
really?
I'm looking
That's
to grow,
fantastic.
And I'm looking to grow that more.
Wow.
In our management, I'm looking to grow that more with us, because we do business about 50% as women. So we should be able to do that.
If not more.
We have to offer flexibilities that are different for them. We do things that when someone says the millennials coming to get started, I said, everyone starts on a Monday. We don't start on Monday with them. They start on Tuesday. Why? Monday's the weekend. We got a lot of things going on, and I want to make sure we can pay attention to when he comes in or she comes in on Tuesday. On Tuesday, they don't start at 9 in the morning or 8 in the morning. They start at 10 o'clock, so they don't have to, at least their first day is not a day of traffic or a havoc. It's the first day that they come in, that we have a goodie bag, that we have a welcome bag there, that their names are on the TV.
For the new associate.
For the new associate.
That's pretty cool.
And so every manager knows who started in the company, what department that he works through. They know their name, and they can welcome them. And it's part of our retention. It's part of our program. It's part of our onboarding program that's in there. But I feel really highly excited about them also as well. When other people are down on them, I feel very excited, because I think they have tremendous intelligence. They do things different than we do. They can multitask certainly 10 times better than I can.
That's for sure. Just give them your iPhone, right? That's right.
And they can do so many things that we're not doing as well, and excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. So talk to us about the fact that you've got 30% females right now. Does the industry need to make a fundamental change when attracting females to the industry? They do so well in the car business, as you know, you've got 30% of them, and you want to grow that number. But some of the females that we talk to that have either left the industry or are in the industry will say it's still a tough gig for females, in the sense that if they want to start a family, they might not have proper paid time off, or maybe the hours are too long that kind of take away from them being able to spend time with their, the little league games and some of the high school or the school events or things like that. Do we need to make a shift?
Absolutely. I think that is something that's fundamentally, we can't, if you keep on doing what you're doing, you're going to keep on getting what you're getting.
Right.
So if you don't make a change, then you're not going to alter it. We have to make a change. I have no problem in the flex hours. I have no problem in having certain times that you got to have for yourself. I have no problem. They're going to do the job.
Right.
They're going to get the job done. And maybe it may not be at the highest level they possibly can if they were here more.
Sure.
But it's all a matter of what's important. And if it's important in their life at that time that they have a child, I want that to be first.
Right.
I always try to think first of our employees. I always try to think about their success first. My success always comes when they're successful. And if you're successful in your home life, if you're successful in having a child, if you're successful in doing that, you'll be successful in this.
Yeah, that's true.
And if I have to do where, let's say the average then drops to, let's say, 5 cars on it, I'll be successful there. And I'm also open to doing compensation that's differently. So I'm open to doing salaries that are different there. I'm open to doing things on a different way. That it's not the usual things that we've done before in the business.
Right.
Our business should be evolving. Our industry is evolving. On top of that, what happened with COVID in 2021, you saw e-commerce change. What it took 11 years for e-commerce to do, it did in 8 weeks. Yeah. So how do we change with that?
That's right. That's a good point.
And we've learned that we can do business where you and I did our last interview, we did it over a Zoom.
That's right.
And we did it like that video conference. That's stuff that I never dreamed of before.
Yeah.
It's only when I watched the Jetsons.
That's right.
But today, so you can take that step and go further, and we can do that. And today, they have their computers, but today we've switched everything where it's an iPad.
Sure.
And everything with their iPad. They walk around, they look for inventory with their iPad, they're talking to a customer with their iPad, they sit down for lunch at the cafe with their iPad, they sit in service, and I think that works really well for us.
Sure. Before we got into COVID in 2019 and early 2020, we saw about a 3-month supply of vehicles on the lots on average around the country. And of course it was kind of a race to the bottom among dealers fighting against each other for the deal and who can get to the lowest. People would start with invoice and work down, and go from there. Right. And then of course through COVID we found that, guess what, customers are willing to pay sticker price if they can get a good experience and a good car and they feel good about it. It looks as though the old way is creeping back in because of the inventory levels and the desire for people to want to just sell more vehicles and such. What's your take on that? Should we be cautionary?
I think it'll always, it does come back to a certain extent, but I also believe that there was a new bar set and a new barrier and that new bar, I think people will try to maintain. I think people will not want to regress that much. I think they had certain success they experienced, and I say, when you first started driving, you didn't have power windows or you didn't have air conditioning. Today, you won't drive a car that doesn't have air conditioning. You wouldn't have that. So I would hope that dealers have learned that also, and more importantly, that manufacturers have also learned of having just one car enough. In some cases, it's going to build a little more, and what it does, we have to work on it. But at the end of the day, what a dealer has to remember is, what is the experience he's offering? What is the value he's offering? And value is the proposition why people will pay. People pay for value. People pay if they believe that it's good to do business with you, and you're the right person, and you're the right organization, and the way you take care of and handle things, it's important. I had a friend this morning, she's a doctor, reached out to me, my car is stuck, it's there, not a problem. I called our service director sent a tow truck to go pick it up. And those are things that are important to people.
Yeah, that's right.
You
own that customer forever.
And our goal is to have about relationships with our people.
Yeah.
So I really don't want a customer, I really want a client.
Right.
A customer buys once, a client buys multiple times.
That's right. You're an automobile dealer, you've got 24 dealerships, which is just incredible. There's many out there that are concerned that their next generation in their family, you've got kids in the family, in the business now, that the franchise system might not be the same for that generation as it is for you. They feel as maybe it's under attack because of the Tesla business model, the direct to consumer. We're seeing some other car companies going in that direction. We're seeing a kind of a European model that maybe Mercedes-Benz or some of the others may try here in the States. What's your take on that?
Listen, of course it's frightening to everything, and it's always for human beings, the unknown brings a fear.
Sure.
I would say, don't run from the fear, run towards that fear that you have and overcome it. And you will show the value in what we do.
Yeah.
You will show the reason why they need us. I think the industry has always been in its change, sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Is there an agency approach that people are looking at today? Is there a direct model that people are looking at today? Of course there is. And understand that every company has a board of directors, and every company's board of directors has a fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
That responsibility is to study and see and what's the best way for them to be successful.
Right.
But I believe that America is the premier place to do business. I believe that if a manufacturer can't make it in America, they can't make it anywhere really.
Right.
This is the place where you have to have, because it's a place of law and order. It's a place that rules are followed. It's a place that really has a structure, and you have the investments that people have made. The investments I've made is millions and millions of dollars in these franchises. I'm willing to go work 7 days a week. I don't think somebody else is willing to work those
Good
days.
point. Good point. You're not going to find an OEM executive willing to
I think
do
they're interested in their PTO time. I didn't know what that meant. And I believe that more importantly, the truth is, we're pillars of our community.
Yeah.
We are part of the fabric of our community.
Right.
We are the ones that do things with the Little League team. We're the ones that do things with the police department, the fire department, the schools, the church, the synagogues. We're part of that.
Yeah.
And as part of that, that's an awful strong feeling and connection we have. Will they look at things? Will they change some things? Of course. Accept that.
Right.
Run towards it. We're in a state where they're looking at electrification, and anytime you want to make a change as big as that, that's a huge change, but that change should be more market-driven, not government-driven.
Yeah.
No one has the answers for it. So how do you make yourself more sustainable, more valuable, better?
Right.
Is an important part that dealers should be thinking about that versus the opposite. I can't control what they're there. I can't control what I can influence every single day.
Right, right. Well, since you went there with electrification, you took my next question.
Okay.
So, there's a lot of dealers that are, oh, let's go, gun ho, the manufacturers are going, we better get our charging stations and retrofit our stores and be thinking in terms of an all EV future. While some other dealers that I've spoken to, very large companies such as yours and the size of yours, that have said, nah, not so fast. Let's walk before we run on this topic. Where do you fall in that?
I certainly tell them to try to take a slower approach. Why do I say a slower approach? I said infrastructure isn't there. Country infrastructure isn't there. And the anxiety, it's not so much the anxiety today of how much mileage I have also people. It's really the anxiety of that if I need to go and I need to make a trip, not only do I want to plan that I got to park 30 minutes to go charge.
Yeah.
No one wants to do that.
Right.
So the evolution of the battery is changing. So they plan to be able to, a quick charge that today takes 30 minutes to get 80%. Tomorrow will take 15 minutes, and hopefully they want to get it down to 10 minutes, so it's more like going to a gas station.
Sure.
In that whole entire process, well, there's an evolution process of what you have there. So why make me invest in all this that you want? So let's take an approach of what we need today.
Right.
Anticipate what we need tomorrow, but let's take it in steps.
Right.
Because as we do that, it'll allow us to have the best equipment. Because it does me no good if I have all the equipment today, and it's not the right equipment for 5 years from now.
That's true. That's true. Do you find yourself sitting in dealer meetings with each one of the OEMs, and they all have a different take on electrification?
Yes, very much. Look, I tell dealers, look, if there's anything that I can give you as advice today, is this is the time to shore up your relations with your customer. This is a sure time to make sure you control your data. This is a sure time that you have to become a better relationship developer with your associates, and then more importantly, look to double your fixed operation business.
Yeah.
Why? Because by 25, there's expectations that you have 20 to 30% are being sold electric.
Right.
In that process, allow yourself to have a buffer of the ICE engines that you've had for the next 3 or 4 years to give you that time before you get to 2030, that manufacturers have figured out different ways that we both can make money.
Right.
And that we both can be successful.
Sure.
I also think the manufacturers are smart. I think they may be pushing electrification, but they're also in a wait and see also as well, because at the end of the day, they understand that it's the consumer. They understand that you can't go to Arkansas, you can't go to Nebraska, you can't go to South Dakota, you can't go to North Dakota and force certain things here. I think some manufacturers have pulled out of sedans, let's say.
Yeah.
Well, it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. It said sedans don't sell. Well, if you quit making them, of course they're not going to sell.
Right.
And you get excited about a C-class SUV, because you sell 1 or 2%. Well, sedans today still sell 20% of the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take a look at what we've done with Honda. Take a look at what Toyota's done. Take a look at what others have done.
That's right.
So I think everything is evolving.
Especially,
I also tell you, I'm sorry, I also believe that it's very exciting time for the showroom. Very rarely, you have to go back to 1920 to go back and say, you could have been on Park Avenue in New York where you had a horse, a buggy, a car, and a trolley. Now you'll have in your showroom today, you'll have a ICE engine, the same car, very similar car, you'll have also a BEV.
Right.
So now you're going to have an opportunity really to your customer to give them the best of whatever choice they have.
That's a good point.
Which I think is phenomenal. And I tell the sales force, you are in one of the most exciting times to do very, very well because you have all the answers.
Yeah, that's right.
You have everything they want that tomorrow some manufacturers have said, we're completely BEV. So the ICE is gone.
That's right.
You've eliminated some of it. And some manufacturers say, we're all ICE, nothing BEV.
Yeah.
So that's it. And then you got to watch what manufacturers today have the whereabouts and the ability to make that investment they're making because it's huge. And understand that they need to maximize also as well.
Sure. The topic of M&A, we cover it extensively on CBT News because there's been so much of it. These last couple of years, we've seen so many dealer groups change hands. Get zapped up by these, whether it be private cap companies or publicly traded groups or what have you, for just huge numbers that we've seen. I think that's been enticing to a lot of people. There must be not a week that goes by that somebody doesn't call you and say, Mario, you ready? You're going to call me first, right?
Yeah,
because
there's always calls, but you know what? I've laid it pretty clearly that we're not selling, we're not for sale.
Yeah.
If anything that proves you, we're more in the acquisition state. Look, I'm very grateful for everything I have and every opportunity that I've had. I have great partners in the business. I have great general managers in the business. I have great general managers now that are partners also in the business.
Sure.
And I want to grow this, and I want to grow it for them. And you and I were discussing earlier, we're at an age that it's really important for us, it's the next generation.
Yeah.
And for us, we try to be good stewards.
Yep.
We want to give them the room for them to expand their horizons much better. We want to give them the tribal knowledge that we have.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really important that the next relationships that they're fostering so they can have and they can grow and see the dynamics and understand that business will always change. And business is in a flux of change on a consistent basis. But we live in the greatest country still.
Yep.
We live with the greatest business. This business is an incredible business. This
Right.
is a business that we talked about. You got to bring a pen or a pencil. In reality, you said you don't even need, you don't need that. We'll give it to you.
We'll give you that. That's
and,
right.
And
come with a good attitude. We'll take care of the rest.
You can make a great living. You can be very successful. You can, build your family. You buy a home.
Yeah.
You get to live the American dream here.
That's right. That's right. So you sound like a politician, and you look like a politician, and you're very polished, and you're very well spoken, and you're a very successful businessman here in Miami and now in Chicago and New Jersey. Has that been something that you've said, let me take a look at this? I mean, your story is incredible.
Thank you. So I've always been involved in helping with politicians. I've always been involved there because I think it's our duty and responsibility to be organized and involved to see how we can shape and assist. But I've never decided or wanted to run on it. I think it's important I respect those that run. I try to help those that I think are best to assist us and to grow and to care. And I think it's our responsibility of all of us. When someone's unhappy, I always tell them what things are there. So what are you doing to change it?
Right.
And get involved.
Yeah.
And be involved in
sure.
it.
Not just complain about it, right?
Yeah, you can complain, but I just saw recently an election in Chicago, and that's less than 23%, I think, was the voter turnout. That's a shame. So
especially in that town.
We get what we
Right.
do, and but if everyone gets involved, great
right.
things. There's something about community.
Yeah.
And community is an essential part of our country, it's an essential
Sure.
part of us. And I always believe that people need to be thoughtful and listen to their folks. You and I can agree to disagree, and we can move forward. And that's what this country needs right now.
That's right.
And I think it's not about this side or it's not about that side. It's about we all want clean water. We all want
Right.
good education.
We're all Americans.
We all want and it's important.
Yeah, no question about it. So your dad played a big role in your life. Obviously, it takes a lot to send a child over to another country, hoping it's going to better their life. What would he say about all of this?
Still to this day, I remember all his words. So I never missed a day of school between kindergarten and 11th grade.
Wow, that's pretty strong.
He goes, "Are you dying?" No.
Yeah.
Okay, then get to school. I said,
Instilled a great work ethic.
Always sit at the front of the class, front row.
Yeah.
Why? I said, you don't need to look back, you need to look forward. The teacher has to have a relationship with you.
That's great.
So those are all great lessons.
Yeah.
We were poor, but he said read.
Yeah.
I still read a book a week, sometimes 2 books. And through books, you can learn anything you want, and you can escape anywhere you're at.
That's right. There's no question about it.
Those are great lessons that he gave me. To honor this country, to respect this country, and he always told me, I'm a guest. Even though I was a citizen, when I became a citizen, he goes, you're a guest here, so you have to do more, be more, work harder.
Look at
that has always been part of my life that's there, and I'm always grateful for that, for him and my mom.
That is fantastic. Mario Murgado, thank you so much. This has meant a lot. Wow.
Thank you.
That's been great.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all your success.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching The Executive Profile, exclusively on CBT News.
Today's Executive Profile was sponsored by Cox Automotive.